Welcome to Speaking with Elvis podcast. This is a place, a platform where we discuss anything about communication and public speaking, personal development, leadership, and the likes, so that you can use it to transform your life. In this episode, we are going to talk about a topic that just came to my mind as I observe some of the things that are happening in our society nowadays. It's simply the concept of instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So that's what we're going to be sharing in this podcast today. And the reason why I actually chose this topic today is because the time is actually right to talk about something like that because of what is happening in our society today. You see, we have come to be in the moment when we want to have anything for nothing, or we want things just to happen overnight. And of course, we forget that for anything to have a particular outstanding result, it requires a little bit of time and discipline to get there. That's why the subject of instant gratification and delayed gratification is more than important to talk about at this very moment. So now I want to explain this concept by bringing to light a study that was conducted at the university campus. I think it was actually at Stanford University by Walter Mitchell in the 1970s. Now, Walter Mitchell was this instructor who put this experiment into place. So what he did was he put in the room 4-year-olds, the kids who are 4 years of age. He put a bunch of them in one room at the university campus. And in front of them, he placed a marshmallow. And each one of them had one marshmallow in front of them. And they were told that if they do not eat the marshmallow right away, if they wait until the instructor comes back, they would have two marshmallows. And mind you, these are 4-year-old, these are kids. We know of what the 4-year-old is. If you do have kids, if you've been around kids of that age, you would understand a little bit how they act. They just want to go toward what appealing, what attracts them. They don't really think about thing much, and much less the delectable sweet, which is the marshmallow. So they were placed in a room, and then they were giving that instruction that if they were to wait only 15 minutes, when the instructor returned, they would have two marshmallows. And if they want to, they can eat the one that they have at any time. Now, when the instructor left the room and went into another room that had a one-way mirror, so which he could observe and see what the kids are doing. So when he was observing the kids with their marshmallow in front of them, now you have to understand that some kids couldn't wait for 15 minutes to have two marshmallows. Some of them just ate the marshmallow right away. So it was so attractive and so deliciously looking that they couldn't resist. Now, there are some kids who would resist to eat the marshmallow. Some of them would actually devise some kind of ways to avoid the marshmallow. Some of them would go under the table to avoid looking at the marshmallow altogether. Some would turn their back against the marshmallow, but you will still see some kids, whether they go under the table or turn their back, they would turn ever slowly to pick at the delectable sweet. So it was still appealing to them. Some of them surrender. Some of them ate the marshmallow, and there were a few who actually didn't eat the marshmallow. And upon the instructor return, they were giving two marshmallows, and that was so much rewarding for those who waited. Now, that's not the end of the experiment. The most important and interesting part of the experiment was the follow-up 20 years later. 20 years later, the instructor followed up with those who took the test of the marshmallow. So they looked at their lives, every spectrum of their life, how they were doing, how they were faring in their lives in general. So it was noticed with shocking surprise that Those who actually couldn't resist to eat the marshmallow, that simply means that those who actually ate it before the instructors returned were not doing well in all aspects of their lives. So they were not doing well in school. Some of them had abandoned school altogether and had some, like a manual job or kind of low paying jobs. And some of them were already in their second or third relationships. And many of them, some of them suffer some health issues. Every aspect of their life was not doing well. And these are those who didn't resist to eat the marshmallows. Now, on the contrary, those who were able to resist eating the marshmallows were able to really have a well-rounded life. Though some of them were still in school and pursuing their higher level of education, and a lot of them had a higher how do you call it, the SAT test, higher grade in SAT test, and they were pursuing higher education, and a lot of them were in good marriages and good relationships, and some of them were doing well physically and in the healthy way, and even when it comes to finances, some of them were doing well finances, having good jobs, and so on and so forth. So, what does this experiment try to tell us? It's simple, as you can understand the process of this experiment, that those who uh, ate the marshmallow right away were not doing well in the future. And those who actually resisted were doing somewhat well in all aspects of their lives. It's that obvious that anything in life requires time, time to get to where you want to go, time to be what you want to be, time to even arrive at the particular destination, a destination that is worth your while. So it's important to keep that in mind in the context of today. So when we see around us, especially young people who would not sustain a particular endeavor for a long time because they really want that to happen overnight. And if you think about it, not only even today, even in the history of ages, we've realized that those who have achieved a tremendous amount of success are those who were able to delay the gratification, because good things take time. Good things would take time. There is no overnight success. Look at anybody that you believe to be successful today. Just look around you, whether it is people in your family or people that you see on media, those who have achieved a very rewarding success are those who were able to delay gratification. What does that really mean? That they may have an idea of something, of a business today. That idea would not yield result after a year or two, or even sometime five. So it takes really a long time to get somewhere, even in my case. So you see, when I started in this path, first of all, let me backtrack first. I came to America without speaking a word of English. So which means at that time, I was a very shy, timid, and awkward adult because I came to America when I was 25. So I was shy, timid, awkward, and didn't speak a word of English. And once I realized what I needed to do in life, it was no longer the idea of just staying on the average level of my English proficiency, but to be able to put the time necessary to be at the level that I can explain something, you can understand me without really me having to explain that again. So, which means even today, if I have become a public speaker and a teacher of communication and public speaking skills, that simply means I've gone through a process that took time. I have delayed my gratification. I've taken the time to harness not only the language, but the ability to communicate quite effectively that put me in the position today to be able to share with you some of the journey that I've been on, some of the insight, techniques, and tricks and trades about public speaking so that you can develop your own ability to communicate quite effectively. If you want to achieve success, whatever success means for you, you have to be able to delay gratification. You cannot plant the seed and go the next day to see if the seed has borne fruit. No, you would know that the seed goes through a process of germination, and after germination, the process to bear fruit until the time that the fruit gets ripened. So, which means that it is a process that it goes through. In fact, you have to be able to understand the principle of delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is really where we go to a transformation, not just change, because yes, change can happen in the quick fashion, but transformation takes time. Transformation is the complete restructuring of the essential part of something. So that means the whole thing is completely transformed. It takes time for that. Just look at the cocoon that transform into a butterfly. It doesn't just happen overnight. There's a process that it goes through, and that process takes some time. But time is relative now. Everything has a time attached to it to be manifested, to bear fruit. So you see, maybe a tree might take a season. A season can last a few months, and some season can last years. So basically, everything has a season, and the season is the time attached to that particular thing. So even when you have an idea, if you want to become something, if you want to be the person that you've always wanted to be, it's not going to happen overnight. Think of becoming a healthy individual. If you want to build a muscle, for instance, you're not going to go at the gym and hit like a 2 hours or the whole day at the gym and hope to grow muscles that just one day. No, it takes time really to build the muscles, and you have to be consistent about doing the exercise necessary to get to the point that one day you can take your shirt off and see the bulges of the muscle that coming up. So it's important to think that you cannot just wake up one day and read all the books in the personal development to be a transformed person in that way. No, you have to be able to build it over time. And it takes time. Everything in life takes time. There is no shortcut in the things that we do. So that's why instant gratification is not so much something that is good to promote, even though it is what many people expect to have, because we want to have it today. In fact, we wanted to have it yesterday. But unfortunately, that's not the way a lot of things work, even by the law of nature. It would not work that way. While we are really hoping and wishing and praying for that to happen, it does really take time for anything to manifest in our life. It takes time to build a strong relationship with oneself. It takes time to build a good relationship with your partner, intimate person. It takes time to even build good relationship with in the friendship aspect. It takes time to just realize about anything. I remember I've said that in few episodes before about the concept of 10,000 hours. You see, to become an expert or a credible person in a particular field, you have to put about 10,000 hours to arrive at that level of expertise. 10,000 hours is not 10 days. It's not even 10 months. It takes really time, because if you really want to distinguish yourself, if you want to demarcate yourself in your field, you have to take the time to really make yourself an indispensable individual in society, where the person who the robot would not actually replace. It takes time. You see, even as a public speaker today, and mind you, I teach public speaking, I teach communication skills. I help people to be able to develop this ability to communicate, which means I do understand a thing or two about communication, which I can share, turn back and share with a couple of people. But even at that point, I still learn how to communicate more effectively, because in the end, when I speak, whether it is on stage, whether it is in podcast or any interview for that matter, or simple videos, I want to be able to convey the message to you in the way that is so clear, that is so concise and so compelling that I don't even have to explain. There's a saying that if you have to explain what you just said, you had not said it best the first time. So that means even for me, I have to keep harnessing, keep sharpening my soul. I have to keep doing that, because you can never arrive at the level that you master everything in its entirety. You can always improve. Perfection doesn't even exist. The perfection doesn't exist. We can always better our best. Yes, we already best, right? But we can always better. There's always a room to improve. There's just a room to grow. There's a room to become. There's a room to get to that level that we can really look back and see how far we've come and the much impact that we have made. So it's important to keep in mind in the forefront of our consciousness the concept of delayed gratification, because delayed gratification is where the magic happens. Delayed gratification is where the magic happens. You do something over and over and over and over again, and one day, bam, it transforms, it explodes, it just arrive at that level that something changes, something get transformed. So that's how we need to see the concept of delayed gratification. And you see, even going back to how to become healthy, it's simply because people are still encoded with that concept of instant gratification, because people don't assume a very disciplinary exercise regime to get to a result of becoming healthy, simply because they think that after going to the gym maybe a week or two, or maybe a month or even two, they expect to see a magical result. It would never happen that way. And then we've noticed this even during the New Year's resolution at the beginning of the year, when people make the resolution after a holiday of feasting on turkey, potato pie, chicken, meat, or whatever that you might consider, things that are fatty, right? They make a decision that comes January 1st. I am going to put myself in regime. I am to exercise regime and even nutritional regime. So people start going to the gym, and then after about maybe a few weeks, they abandon simply because they do not see a result. People abandon because they do not see a result. That's the reason a lot of people abandon exercising. Every single human being knows that exercising is good, that being healthy is paramount to our living. Because if you're not healthy enough, you cannot even do the things that you want to do. You cannot even take care of your family. You cannot do anything. Everybody knows that. Everybody is aware of that reality, that exercise and being healthy is good for us to continue living in the way that can be productive, in the way that we can have more impact in our society. People give up simply because they don't see the result. So think about it. It's not about the result, but how do you maintain a spirit of delayed gratification? Now, this is another question that could be another episode altogether, but you have to build, a reason why you want to do a particular thing. That's really what would get you through anything. The boredom, the stalemate, when you hit the wall, when you plateau, your why is what really would get you through. Because if you don't define it, if you don't define the strong why, you would not really have a good concept of delayed gratification. You would not even adopt that as your philosophy of life. It's important in anything that you do that you can match that with why you do it. Now, when you discover why you do it, and that why has to be so profound and so emotional, because any surface why would not really do the job. Because if you do something, if you go to the gym simply because you see your friend go to the gym, definitely I don't think that after you would sustain it. If you go to the gym simply because you want to impress, maybe if you are a guy, you want to impress a girl. If you are a girl, you want to impress a guy. I don't think that that's a very strong why. That simply means that you would not sustain. When things hit the fan, you would give up. When it becomes harder, when you hit the plateau, because that would happen. Yeah, you can start the gym, and after a few weeks or a few months, you start to see some level of improvement. But after a while, there will be a plateau where you're not even improving anymore. That's when usually many people give up. But if you don't have a strong why I do the things that I do, and it has to be very profound and emotional. So, which means when you think about why you're not even doing it, it will cause you to get back to, roll up your sleeves and get back to work. So, and that's why it's important. So sometimes that why, if I can just share with you, in order to develop that why, you have to think about how the lack of what you need to do can be the reason why somebody's suffering. For instance, if you do not do something, because anything that we do, if we kind of have a profound reason of it, it would help us to be able to sustain some of these blockage that I have mentioned, the plateau, the stalemate, the difficulties, and anything of that nature. So it's important to really get to that point of developing a very strong why with what you do. That's what can give you the understanding of delayed gratification. You know that I'm going to stop this thing. I know that it's not going to happen right away. I know that it's not going to change the next day. I know that transformation is not going to happen after maybe a couple of hours. I would sustain this until something happened, until it's not even the term that you would limit yourself to. So, which means you get to something and be determined, make a decision that you would do it until. That's how anybody with that concept, with that philosophy of delayed gratification would always arrive at the level of success, whatever that success means for them. So it's important to keep that in mind, especially nowadays where everything is so microwavable, which means we want everything happen now. We want it now. In fact, we wanted it yesterday. Important to develop that part of us, that everything comes with time. Everything that is worthwhile will come with time. And if we decide that this is what we're going to do, in fact, even if you want to do something, make it even as a lifestyle, something that you would always do, like every day, consistency being the key to it. Discipline will build a level of consistency. And that's how the delayed gratification will definitely lead you into that space when you can look back and see how far you've come and the result that you have achieved. So that was the subject of today: instant gratification versus delayed gratification. In anything that you do, don't expect it to happen right away. Don't expect the magic to happen right away. Take the time necessary, but put the effort that requires there to really arrive at where you want to arrive, because it does take time, and it would always take time. It would always take time. There is no overnight success. If there were overnight success, I'm sure that everybody would be successful. But the people that you see you wake up one morning, you open the media, you see somebody who hit it, they stride. You might think that, oh, they are lucky. They are just lucky. Maybe they were at the right place at the right time. You could be right, but also there's a limit into you being right, because that overnight success is simply the result of years of toil, years of effort, years of discipline, years of sweat. People have built that, and it takes only one day to reveal what has been done in the darkness. That's why you see people, just when you wake up one morning, you see somebody had hit the number one on the chart of something. Could be in the career, could be the profession, whatever that is. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. Delay gratification, delay gratification, delay gratification. That should be a lifestyle, your philosophy, how you function, part of how you are and who you are. And that was our topic of today. And thank you so much again for tuning in with Speaking with Elvis podcast. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or any platform that we are sharing this episode or this podcast in, please do so. And really, we want to hear some of your feedback. Maybe like or comment and just share with us. In fact, we are in the journey, just trying this thing, right? So there's no perfection here, making mistake. In my vocabulary, in my fluency, my elocution, I make mistake, but it's about seeing or becoming an improved person the next day, with your feedback, of course, with your participation, of course. And thank you once again for tuning in to Speaking with Elvis podcast. Thank you.